So I'm waving my arms around, but I still can't feel anything. 30 feet, 40 feet, 40 feet. Come on, Mike. Slow us down, man, slow us down. So I started getting desperate, and I reached out again with my hands, and I felt the wall skim by. I was moving really fast. I don't know, was it 50 miles an hour by then? I'd fallen a ways, dragging my hand, and I can hear my nylon glove on the ice. Zzz. The pitch went up as I was going faster.
Jim Davidson is an expert mountain climber. As an expedition leader, Jim has climbed high peaks across the United States and around the world.
And so when life comes at you, maybe there'll be tough challenges. Maybe you'll actually see a crevasse, or maybe it'll be financial challenges or family challenges. But know when that happens, that you're stronger than you think. And you've got forms of power available to you, internal power and external power from your friends and family, and a higher power, and they'll kick in. And when you combine all that together, if you're willing to persevere, you can overcome any of life's crevasses. Thank you.
By sharing his stories of adventure, adversity, and triumph, Jim inspires audiences to overcome the big challenges in their lives.
Well, like I said, we hit some icy conditions, so our climbing went kind of slow, but it went well. And we went out there and crossed one glacier. And what we're looking at here is these big bowls of glaciers, and these lines are cracks, those crevasses. And some of those crevasses are so big you could throw this entire building in there and you wouldn't even fill one of them up. So we got out there on our first day, and we crossed another glacier that's off the image. We crossed this glacier and stayed at the spot number 1. We camped out that night in the open. We didn't bring a tent, but we did bring sleeping bags. And then on day 2, we got up and started climbing real early. Long day. Climbed till 10 o'clock at night until darkness caught us up on the upper part of the wall. We didn't quite make it off the ridge. So this is our second night out. Now, when we sleep out in the open like this, it's a French word called bivouac. It means to camp out in the open. And there's a picture of Mike on our second bivouac, and you can see that there's this little orange sling coming off his body. He's in his harness through the night, and he's attached by the orange sling to 2 ice screws. And the reason for that is that rock down by his foot is at the top of this rock face right up here. There's a 4,000-foot drop down the Liberty Wall. So bivouac means to camp in the open. My wife tells me it means idiots sleeping in the snow.
Jim is the sole survivor of an incredible climbing accident. His life-changing experience reveals the depth of human perseverance that resides within each one of us. The lessons he shares shows us how courage and resilience allows us to triumph over any obstacle.
We weren't walking on a solid layer of ice anymore. We were on a snow bridge that hid a giant crevasse, and that snow bridge was collapsing beneath my feet. So I had to warn my partner, so I yelled out, "Falling!" And with that, I swung my pick to try and catch myself in the snow. And I figured my pick would sink right in, and it's going to rip my shoulder when I fall onto one arm, but it'll stop me from going in that crevasse, and I don't want to go in that crevasse. And gravity kept its grip on me and pulled, and I slithered down into the snow and then came out the bottom of the snow bridge. And everything was pitch dark. And I realized I'm in the crevasse. And at the last second, I had a sense of something. That little avalanche avoidance voice in my head said, "Something big's coming. Cover up. Cover up." So I put my hands in front of me to block it, and sure enough, something big came. Woof! Big layer of snow. I was completely covered. I couldn't see, but I could hear. Woof, 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 woof. More things falling. Boom! Something big. And then it was all quiet and all dark, and I couldn't move. And I thought, I'm buried alive. They say that avalanche debris is like wet cement, the way it grabs hold of you. That's true. I couldn't move at all. I tried to wiggle an arm and wiggle a leg, and I couldn't. I tried to sit up, and I could feel muscles in my stomach and back ripping, but I couldn't move. But there's a little voice that came through, survival voice. It's inside me, and it's inside you. And you don't hear it too often because we go about our daily lives. You go to work, and you pick up the phone, and some man magically delivers a pizza to your house. Life's not that hard on most average days. But there is a voice inside you, an instinct that will help get you through the difficult times. So that voice started talking to me, telling me what to do. So I pushed and pushed again, and the voice said, "Dig, keep pushing, keep trying." And about the 5th attempt, I had a hand burst out of the snow. Now, I was completely covered by about 1.5 feet of snow or more, but one hand burst out of the snow. And I realized with one hand that I can start to dig. So I couldn't move my arm, but I could kind of push at the wet snow. So I started pushing in the wet snow. And I was just sort of reaching around desperately, but I couldn't feel anything but snow, so I kept pushing. And as I dug down to my own face, I could hear my glove grinding against the ice crystals. And finally I swept down and I managed to reach my eye, and I pulled back, and I had dug a little 1-foot tunnel through the snow. So I now had a tunnel coming down to my face. And when I dug down, the cold air flowed down. Now inside my mind, I was already having the division of brain that Bob was talking about. The left side was saying logical things like dig faster and watch out and it's going to set up. And the right side of my voice was kind of panicking and scared, emotional. And when my hand pulled back, I was so disassociated from what was happening that I looked up the little tunnel with just my right eye, and I saw my own gloved hand. But I was so disassociated that the emotional voice said, "Look, someone's coming to dig us out." And the logical voice observed, "Hey, they've got the same gloves we do." Now I'm thinking it's a little early in the game to be going crazy already. Why am I hearing these two voices? And part of the reasons is what Bob told us. And I think that's part of what goes on under difficult situations. You have the emotional voice, the logical voice, and it's our job to balance that. And that little survival voice kicked in now. And it was trying to distract me and keep me engaged. It said, "Where are we? Where are we?" And so I looked around, and we were on a small ledge about 2 feet by 6 feet. And it was total darkness around, just a little blue light, so I could just see outlines. And I looked up to see where it had come from. And I looked up, and there was a small circle of light. And that circle of light is the hole in the snow bridge we'd fallen through. That's the way back to reality, back to the world. And that hole through the snow was 80 feet above my head. And I looked at the walls on the side, the ice walls of the crevasse that went back to the hole. They went vertical and then overhanging. And I thought, there's no way you can climb that. And my voice instinctively said, "Oh, Mike, we're in trouble, man. We're in big, big trouble."
From his adventure and survival experiences, Jim distills key lessons to help you tackle big challenges in your business or personal life. Jim's message of hope and perseverance empowers the audience to climb out of life's crevasses and to prevail over adversity.
I thought, well, that's pretty good. If I can use the gear to aid my way up, I think I know how to get out of here. So I look up, and it's about 80 feet. And I said, well, what if I can reach 4 feet? 80 feet divided by 4. If I have 20 ice screws, I can get out of here. 20 ice screws, I'm going to need 40 carabiners. If I had that gear, I could get out. Well, 20 ice screws and 40 carabiners looks like this. But remember I said we climbed light that day? We didn't have a lot of gear. I didn't have 20 ice screws. I had 6. I didn't have 40 carabiners. I had 12. So I'm short on resources. Well, even if I can start climbing, there's nobody here to even hold my rope, so I'm short on people. And with that meltwater trickling in, how cold is it going to get in here tonight when the sun goes down? I realized if I was going to climb out, not only did I have to climb out on my own, I had to climb out today before the sun goes down, because otherwise I won't be here tomorrow. So I'm short on resources, people, time, and I've got a big, big challenge. Feel like your job some days? It's not always easy, and it's not always fun to face situations that are big, scary, and challenging with limited resources, limited people, limited time. But if you stick to what you do now and leverage your resources as best you can do some amazing things because you are stronger than you think. So once I got to that overhang, what really happened was I had to figure out a different way to do it. I had to bounce back. I had to be innovative. I had to think of something new. And that's resilience, that ability to take a new path. Maybe the economy's changed. Maybe your agency has changed. That probably means you have to change. It may not all be fun, but there's opportunities in there. We have to respond. We have to be flexible. We have to be resilient. And that's what allowed me to get past that overhang, was being resilient. Not being tied to the old ways I was doing things when it was making progress before, but a new way. Now you have these little tent cards in front of you. Let me explain what I mean by act like a pro. You see, that day, I was down in the crevasse, and my crevasse was a real crack in the ice, an actual hole in the ice. You probably won't be inside a glacier, but you will encounter other types of crevasses in life. Things like family problems, work problems, economic problems. We all face them. Those kind of crevasses are waiting for you out there. And when you encounter those crevasses, the same techniques I use to get out of my crevasse will work for you.
To have Jim turn your next keynote into an engaging experience, please contact Jim at Speaking of Adventure